right, so our math objective for today will be, I will be able to apply appropriate tools to measure to the nearest 1/4 inch. So we have quick look cards. So here I show you each of the quick look cards. Please put the fraction in each of these boxes that you found. And remember that the whole is not necessarily the whole circle. It's how many pieces are there out of how many pieces total are there on the piece. Okay, first one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, go ahead and fill out that one. Here's the next quick look. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and fill out that one. And then last quick look. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, go ahead and complete that slide and meet me back here in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so when I ask you, what do you notice, what do you wonder? I want you to take a look at this ruler, okay? And then kind of look at this, our fraction number line poster as well. What do you notice? Why do you think I have this and this both together? Okay, and then go ahead and put your answer in that box. So here is this ruler. We call it ruler D, okay, because that's what it's called. Some characteristics about this ruler include this unit is in inches, right? So we have 8 inches total. So that also means that those are like 8 wholes, if we're talking about the inch being a whole number. So that means that there are 8 whole numbers there. Each inch is partitioned into half inches, like this one right here, right? Here's another half inch. The lines are a little longer, okay, long tick marks. And each inch is partitioned into 1/4 inches marked with a short tick mark. So in between 2, 3, here's the half. And then right here is the 1/4. So you can see here, this is a 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, over to 1. 2/4 is the same as a half. So if you have eaten 2 out of 4 pieces of pie, you've eaten half of the pie. So here's some more characteristics. There are smaller intervals in between the 1/4 inch marks. There's these ones right here. There are fractions 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4 labeled within the first whole inch, but those actually continue on as we go throughout this ruler. And in between right here, when we're talking about the 1/4, we call this an eighth, okay? And the reason why we do that is because like this is 0/8, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and then one whole would be 8/8, like we learned about fractions on a number line in the past. So here we have 0, 1/8, then 1/4, which is the same as 2/8, then another eighth, and then the halfway mark with the long tick mark, okay? So look at the 1/4 inch marks between 0 and 1. What is the distance between each labeled marks? So the distance between is one jump, and we would call that 1/4. You don't have to answer this question within the slide because I'm telling you the answer. So from 0 to this point is a 1/4 inch. From this point to the next is another 1/4 inch, okay? So the distance between is always, for these ones, is going to be a 1/4 inch. Each 1/4 inch distance is divided into 2 equal parts. These are the 1/8 inch marks and can be used to decide which 1/4 inch mark you are closest to when measuring objects to the nearest 1/4 inch. So we're going to go over that because we need to use these itty bitty tick marks in order to know where when we're going to measure some line segments and see, do we round up to the next fourth, or do we round down to this fourth mark? So we're going to go over that. In the past, you've used the 1/4 tick marks to measure to the nearest ½ inch. Measuring to the nearest 1/4 inch yields more precise measurements than measuring to the nearest half or whole inch. Although all measures are approximate, using smaller units can help you measure more precisely. Today, you will be using the 1/8 inch markings on your ruler to help you measure to the nearest 1/4 inch. So here's the first problem. Use ruler D to measure the line segment below to the nearest 1/4 inch. So here's the line segment, okay? How might you use the arrow on ruler D to help measure the length of the line segment? Here's the arrow that I'm talking about. It's at the 0. What do I need to do before I start measuring? What do I need to do with this arrow? What do I need to make sure that where it is on my number line? And I want you to put your answer right in this box. About how long is the line segment in problem 1? So remember, we are measuring to the nearest 1/4 inch. So when we go 0, 1, okay, and this is actually lined up right at the end, right? Which is where it needs to be. So we've got 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, and it is not yet to the 4th inch. So I know that I need to say it's 3 inches, but then how long, how much more fourths? So here is my 1/4, here's my 2/4, and here's my 3/4. So when I'm looking at this 3/4 mark, does it line up with it? Mostly, yes. But we're going to look at the 1/8 mark right here. Is it past it? Yes, it is definitely past this 1/8 mark. So we would round up to this mark right here. If it didn't pass this mark, let's say it was over here, we would actually be rounding down to this mark right here. If we were rounding down, then this would be 3 1/4, 2/4, okay? But since we're actually rounding up because it's right here, this would be 3 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So if the other end of the line segment, well, this is what I pretty much just went over. If the other end of the line segment is to the right of the 1/8 inch mark, the measure is rounded up to the next larger 1/4 inch. If the end of the line segment is to the left of the 1/8 inch mark, the measure is rounded down to the next smaller 1/4 inch. The nearest 1/4 inch measures may be whole numbers. So this line segment is about 3 3/4 inches long. And now you are going to try, all right? So about how long is this line segment? And you're going to put your answer in this box. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we know it's 7 inches, all right? And then you're going to see, is this point, is it past this 1/8 mark, or is it not past this 1/8 mark? Here's the 1/8 mark, all right? So do we round up to 7 1/4, or do we round down and say it is at the 7? Okay, go ahead and put your answer right here. Here's our next one. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it lands, here's 1/4, here's 2/4, and here's where this one lands. So would we round up to 4 2/4, or would we round down to 4 1/4? All right, so this is kind of fun. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this because this looks really odd. So here's the problem. 2 ants visit a picnic and notice a strawberry. They each take a different crooked path to get to the strawberry. Use ruler D to measure each part of their paths to the nearest 1/4 inch. Then label the parts with your measure. And then you're going to put which ant took the shorter path. So I showed you guys how to do this in the past. To move around the ruler, you need to find this dot right here. And then you need to rotate it so that way it's at the right angle for you to make this measurement right here. So you're going to be moving this around a lot. It's okay if it leaves the slide as long as we can still know if it's going to be nice and lined up. Okay, I think that that's pretty much lined up. Nope. So this is time consuming. It's going to take you a minute to do all of these, and that is perfectly fine. Just move it a little bit more. And it's important that we try and do these measurements as accurate as possible. So, like I said, just getting the right angle on these takes a while, right? Because I'm not even done doing it for this one yet, just this one line. So it would help if you did, for instance, let's just measure this one line. Let me move it just a little bit more. Got to be very careful when you're moving the ruler around. Okay, I think that that's good. So this line segment right here is lined up at the 0, right? And it's 1 inch. And I think it pretty much goes all the way over to the half. So I would say this is 1 2/4 or 1 1/2. So you would write on your piece of paper 1 1/2, right? And then you need to measure the next line, and then you got to add that together, okay? So that way you know how long the path was. So let's say that that was 1 1/2, and now I need to turn my ruler almost all the way upside down to be able to get to this line, okay? And keep rotating it so that way you get it all nice and lined up. This one's a little bit easier to see because you can see the rest of the line. It doesn't want to turn anymore. There it goes. Keep turning it until it's all nice and lined up with this line. And then you're going to measure that one. Let's scroll up. So we're pretty much here. And this is going to be about maybe another 1 3/4. So then you're going to add that 1 1/2 plus 1 3/4, and then you're going to do the same thing on this side. Like I said, this is going to be a time-consuming slide because you need to be able to get the right measurements and line it up appropriately. So if we measured the paths to the nearest 1/2 inch, would we know which path is shorter? So if I were to only use the 1/2 inches, do you think that we would be able to find out which path is shorter and which one's longer? Why is it important to use appropriate level of precision when measuring these paths? Precision means precise, right? But it also means exact. Why is it important to use this tool at 1/4 inches to make it more exact? Now, everybody's going to have a different answer to this question. When might you need to measure something to the nearest 1/4 inch? When might you need to do that in your life? And that is where I want you to answer right here. These ones are more review about fractions. Think about where each of the fractions below belong on the number line. Then write one of the fractions in each box for A, B, C, and D on the number line. So if you think A is 1/2, you write 1/2. If you think B is 1/3, you write 1/3. Explain how you figured out the location of 3/4 on the number line. And so you will write how you figured that out. Look at the number line below. Label each tick mark with a fraction that could name the point, and this is the only one that you're naming. Label 3/6. So you're going to take this and you're going to grab it and you're going to drag it over. Explain how you know where 3/6 belongs. All right, guys, I am out of time. Woo!